I want to show you where health comes from. What's the most important part of the body? What's the most important part? The brain. So people say, oh, the brain. So I say, if you have a good brain and a bad heart, would you be healthy? Would you be healthy? No. So if you had a good brain, a good heart, bad lungs, would you be healthy? You guys got to answer me. No. If you had a good heart, good brains, good lungs, bad digestion, would you be healthy? So what's the most important part? The whole thing. Excellent. So when we say that, we say there's one part of the body that's job is to tell all the other body parts what to do. What's that called? The brain. Now, what's the job of the brain? What's the job of the brain? To communicate. I'm going to say that one of the jobs of the brain is to control and coordinate all the body parts. Okay, that's the job of the brain. What else does the brain do? What are you doing right now? I hope. Thinking, thank you. All right, so the brain also thinks. But neither of these are really the most important part of the brain because the brain produces something that allows us to stay alive. It is the difference between a live person and a corpse. Do you know what that is? Well, it's energy, all right? And in chiropractic, we like to call it life energy or vital force. Have you heard of these? You guys heard of these. In Asia, they might call it chi or prana. They all mean the same thing. They are the energy that the brain produces. Now, one of the things I put on my bio is that I'm an EMT. I have seen enough dead bodies to know that there's no difference between a dead body and a live one except for this. The dead body can have food in its gut. It doesn't have this. So the brain has its functions to do, of course, the highest one being to maintain us in life, and that's that. You also have a body. I see that you brought your body with you today. What's the job of your body? What's the job of your body? Question mark? Okay, so the job of the body is to be a vehicle, right, because it's mobile, for your purpose. What's your purpose? Who decides your purpose? I do? No, everybody decides their own purpose. We went through that already. So it's possible for the body to be out of balance with the brain. Is it possible you wake up in the morning, you have fever, your body aches, you got a headache, you want to throw up, you got some kind of illness there, the body's out of balance. Will you be able to fulfill your purpose? No, not to the degree that you would want to. So we understand that the body could be out of balance. Now, there's lines or wires that connect the brain to the body. What are those wires called? Nerves, thank you. And the nerves carry messages from the brain to the body, right? They carry messages from the body back to the brain? Sure enough. The back and forth flow of information between the brain and the body allows it to have, just what you said, normal function. Does anybody here know what 100% liver function is? What toxins need to be removed, what chemicals need to be made, what hormones need to be released? Does anybody here know that? No, and so it's a good thing that we're not in control of our function, that the brain and body do it naturally. Another thing, if you're responsible for pressing a button every moment to have your heart to beat, and your phone rang, and you reached to grab the phone, you forgot to press the button, right out. So we know that the brain is pretty smart in establishing whatever 100% function we need. What does it feel like when you have 100% function? What's it feel like? Feels pretty good, feels great. It actually feels like nothing. We call that the state of ease. When you have function and ease, you know what that is? What that brings? Yeah, the most important thing in your life. That's the definition of what it is. Do you understand that? Do you have any questions about that? Is there anybody that says they disagree with something here? All right. We know that it's possible to interfere with this communication between the brain and the body in the nerves. That's got a name. What's it called? Thank you, at least we get the answer here. Vertebral subluxation. Vertebra meaning a bone of the spine, subluxation being a misalignment. Now, it's not a bone necessarily pressing on a nerve. It could be soft tissue, it could be inflammation, it could be chemicals, but the understanding is that the subluxation interferes with the nerve. Did you ever have a pebble in your shoe? Did you ever have a pebble in your shoe? When you walked around on that pebble, what happened? It begins to hurt after a while. That beginning to hurt is because the pebble's putting pressure on a nerve. That's what that subluxation is like, pressure or irritation on a nerve. What did you have to do? That's right. Why? Because it was irritating to you, it made you walk funny, it even could throw out your whole posture. With the interference between the brain and the body, would you have normal function at the end of that nerve? No, and I'm going to tell you this. I'll give you a quick one. What's produced in the stomach that's not produced anywhere else? Acid, okay, hydrochloric acid. If the nerve going to the stomach has too much function, it'll produce too much acid. It could actually burn the stomach lining. Reflux, it could make you become uncomfortable. If it produced not enough acid, what would happen? Would you digest your proteins correctly? No, so we can have either too much or too little. And I'm speeding up because I'm running out of time. But we call this malfunction. When you have malfunction, does it feel good, like nothing, or ease? Does it? No, it's called dis-ease, not disease necessarily, but dis-ease. When you have malfunction and dis-ease, what do you have then? Lack of health, or what we're going to just call symptoms. What's the number one symptom? Pain is the number one symptom, and don't you bet that every patient knows that answer. Number two is the organ dysfunction, and the third most common thing is decreased resistance. These are all the symptoms of dis-ease and malfunction. Is this the problem? Is this the problem? No, that's an effect. So what we want to do is we want to look and say, we got that. In chiropractic, what we do, we localize, analyze, correct that, restoring normal function. Well, let me ask you, if you correct a subluxation, what happens? What happens here? Function returns. When you have function, what happens to dis-ease? It goes back to ease. When you have function and ease, where are you then? You're back to health. When you have health, what happens to those things? What happens? They go away. So it's not magic, although I consider it magical every time someone comes in and goes through this. This is what I like to use to explain to people, to say, do you understand that? What is the most important thing to you? It is your own health. And where does it come from? See, that's the understanding level. That's the realization we want to get them to. If they can do that, then they become patients.